What's good, Freedom Marchers? This is Snapzilla Gorilla, aka the definition of anarchy, aka uh, Tyrus Bane. Welcome to Freedom's March. I'm gonna just do this video real quick because I feel it's important to go over this because some people think that our birth certificate says born yesterday, and that my given name was Boo Boo the Fool. You understand what I'm saying? So, I want to go over how Larry Elder is speaking in contradictory terms on the Timcast IRL show. So he's on the Timcast IRL show. We know that Larry Elder, uh, you know, he loves. Listen. He is an anti Negro. Let me tell you that right now. He is one of the good ones, right? He's a good Negro. Okay, that's what I'm gonna call Larry Elder. Larry Elder is a good Negro. He is essentially a coon, and yeah, even though I don't really get into all the, well, I get into racial stuff when it's necessary because I feel like it's important to point out when these disingenuous conservative black people, they try their hardest to go against the black culture, the black community, and I want to stomp on that. You feel me? Let me know if y'all can hear me okay. Tatum is Uncle Ruckus' cousin. I believe it. So I'm gonna just go over what he said on the Timcast IRL show and point out the contradiction, okay? Mind you, pay close attention. All right. I don't even know if he knows he contradicted himself. All right, let's go over it.
Your father, they wouldn't give him work, outright slurring at him. Why don't you? First, I guess the question is, what do you think systemic racism is? And then why would you say there isn't any?
Well, systemic racism means top-down stuff, the way it used to be during Jim Crow. I'd ask you to give me...
Used to be during Jim Crow. Now, mind you, Jim Crow, right? Jim Crow ended before the Civil Rights Movement. You understand what I'm saying? Or it ended at around the Civil Rights Movement. So it is many people's beliefs, people like Larry Elder, that systemic racism disappeared at a certain point. It just stopped completely, right? That's their assertion. People like him, Brandon Tatum, uh, what's his name? Anthony Brian Logan. It used to be the Clown Shoe Lucas. The Clown Shoe Lucas used to be like that. Many of these black conservatives, Candace Owens and the like, they believe that at a certain point in history, systemic racism and racism in general, and discrimination, all this other shit, it just stopped, right? Uh, being being an oppressed black person in America, it just stopped at a certain point. Some people believe it stopped when slavery ended. Some people believe it stopped when the Civil Rights Act and all that shit got passed into law, right? And some people think, I don't know why they think that, but this is just what it is. But I just want to point that out to you guys before we continue.
Give me the example of a corporation, Fortune 500 corporation, an institution, college, media, military, where there's top-down racism. You can't come up with it.
You can't come up with it. But wait what he does. Wait to see what he does.
It's relentlessly left-wing. Academia, same thing. The military is quite diverse. Give me...
Now, all right. The military is quite diverse because the point of, you can't use the military necessarily, right? And when we talk about systemic racism, just because you have a diverse group of employees within an organization doesn't mean that there isn't systemic racism. You understand what I'm saying? And with the military, when you get promoted, it's kind of automatic. It's automatic promotion, depending on what your MOS is and all that other shit, unless you completely fuck up, right? Unless you're a complete fuck up, you can't pass a PT test. You can't you can't pass a body fat test, all that type of shit. It's very hard not to get promoted. So just because you're there's diversity within your organization doesn't mean that there's no motherfucking systemic racism. Okay, so let's get that out the way right now. But notice, he said he can't think of any organization. He can't think of any corporation. Oh no, he can't think of any corporation where there's any systemic racism. But watch what he goes into right now, almost immediately after.
Give me the name the corporation. Whenever there's a corporation where somebody says something arguably racist, like Texaco did a few years ago. CEO on tape referring to.
Now notice, he said he can't think of an organization that had top-down racism, but he just gave you an example of one from a few years ago.
The employees, as I don't think he said N-word, but he said something disparaging. Goes on TV, apologizes. Texaco loses hundreds of millions of dollars in equity, and then they end up having a program to advance the careers of the black employees at Texaco. Papa John, remember that he was on a call one time.
Now, just a few years ago, Texaco, right? The owner was using the N-word. Now, if someone's using the N-word in a disparaging manner towards black people, what does that tell you? Does that tell you that they love black people and they want to see black people flourish in their company? Or does that tell you that, hey, you know, he might not like black people very much. He might not want black people to advance within his organization. What does that tell you? He told you there's no organization, but he just gave you an example of one. He's about to give you an example of another one that got caught, right? These people got caught, right? These owners of these organizations got caught. That's why the systemic racism within their organizations seem to have stopped, because they got caught. You understand what I'm saying?
He said something. He was quoting somebody else and said the N-word. Lost his own company. There's a guy named John O'Sullivan. He used to be the editor of the National Review. He said white racism exists, but the social power is weak. The social power against it overwhelming. There's no upside today in any corporation blatantly, openly, even subtly being racist.
You hear him?
So let me
blatantly, openly, and even subtly. Now, let's talk about the even subtly part. And let's talk about what he said before that. He said there's no social power, right? You don't need it. You don't need the social power, right? You just need the corporate, right? There is, hold on, what did he say? Because he has a way of speaking that
social power is weak.
Social power. They don't need no motherfucking social power. They just need corporate power, capitalistic power, right? Just because you don't have any social power doesn't mean that your corporate power doesn't exist. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, they might not have social power because, you know, the social groups, the social media organizations, they're all like, you know, left wing and all that type of shit, right? They're all so-called, they don't believe, or they'll cancel you if they feel like you're being racist, right? Well, you just don't get caught. You know what I'm saying? And many of these people like Larry Elder, ABL, Brandon Tatum, they'll say, well, name a law or name a corporate you know, handbook that shows that, you know, you can be discriminated against as a black person. They're not going to put that shit. They're not going to. What are you talking about, right? Just because it's not written down somewhere, just because there's not a law in some town or some state that says that you got to be oppressive to black people, doesn't mean anything. They're not going to come out and openly do it. Of course. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? If don't forget Donald Sterling, right? Donald Sterling. Y'all remember him, right? He owned the Clippers or whatever, and had his black girlfriend and was talking all this shit about black people, about black basketball players and all that type of shit. Do you think he had it written down in his team bylaws and shit like that says, oh, you gotta treat the black man as, you gotta put him in the back of the locker room? And no, this shit's not gonna be written down. No, they're going to keep it on the hush as much as they can. And that's why these people get caught like they get caught, right? Like the motherfuckers in Florida, like the motherfucking sheriff in Florida, right? That was telling his deputies, or no, he was a police chief in Florida that told his deputies to set up black people, to frame black people so that they can go to jail. You understand what I'm saying? Or like the forensic chick that falsified thousands of drug tests so that black people could be put in jail for violating probation or whatever the case may be. It wasn't written down. There's nothing written down in her employee handbook that says that she has to set up Negroes. No, they're not going to openly say it, and they're not even going to be subtle about it. They're going to listen. They have to get caught. They have to get caught on a fucking voice recording. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They really have to trust the people around them to not put them on blast about their racist mind state. They're not going to openly say it. I don't understand this whole thing about, oh well, there's no such thing as systemic racism if it's not written down. That's retarded. But that's what most people. I don't know why people believe that, but that's how they roll with it.
It's his own company. There's a guy named John O'Sullivan. He used to be the editor of the National Review. He said, white racism exists, but the social power is weak. The social power against it, overwhelming. There's no upside today in any corporation blatantly, openly, even subtly being racist.
So let me get your thoughts on this. I was down covering the Ferguson riots back when the Michael Brown stuff happened, and I did a documentary on what people there referred to as systemic racism. How it was explained to us is St. Louis is actually a very small city. Outside of St. Louis, in St. Louis County, actually, it's like 90 some odd cities. These cities were formed when, are you familiar with Pruitt-Igoe? It was one of the first, if not the first, community housing, project housing, and it was in St. Louis. And once it fell into disrepair, you started to get crime in the area, things started to get bad. And white people in St. Louis started to flee the city and then form new surrounding suburbs.
I bet you middle-class blacks also fled the city.
It's possible. But so what happens today is you have areas that are, you end up seeing racially fractured communities. One area is all white. They had racial covenants, which were eventually made illegal. But then you have, a white grandfather gives it to his son, who gives it to his son or whatever. You have areas that are predominantly white, black, or otherwise. What ends up happening is you have impoverished black people as a result of a lot of these policies. Because of the way the cities are set up,
they should move.
Well,
and nothing's stopping them from moving.
You see, even Tim Pool called it out. You hear what Tim Pool said? Because of the way they structured this shit and all this other shit, the way they dealt with black communities, the way they let it fall into disrepair, right? And then, of course, crime begins and all this other shit. And then they do the redistricting, the redlining, was essentially what he's talking about. Because they have to, you know what I'm saying? They get treated badly because of the way the shit is set up. When the systemic racism is pointed out to Larry Elder, what is his answer to that? Oh well, you should move then. Just move. Oh, just move out of there then. If you got a racist area and they're treating you bad, just move. Really? Oh well, you found a systemically racist community. Just move out.
Move. We interviewed people and asked them.
This nigga just said, "Oh my god!"
Because of the way the cities are set up,
they should move.
Well,
and nothing's stopping them from moving. Move.
We interviewed people and asked them about it.
There's nothing stopping them from moving. Did you hear what Tim Pool said about these communities? That they're impoverished, they're poor. They're poor people living in this community whose lives and advancement have been constricted. You understand what I'm saying? And this is partly what Martin Luther King was talking about. about how and why he wanted to integrate in the first place, why he wanted to end segregation, is because the white communities were getting all the resources, the black communities were getting zero resources. So he felt like, well, if we integrate schools, then the kids will have access to the resources the white folks got. His answer is to move. That's his answer to systemic racism. Oh yeah, you encounter systemic racism over there, just move the fuck out. This is the bullshit I be talking about, man.
In Cleveland for a number of years. And I remember when I first got there in 1977, there was a newscast of all these white people living in Akron, where there was 25% unemployment, complaining about the steel mills going away, Rust Belt. And I was looking at the television. I said, "Move, move, move, move!" But what's stopping you from moving? Get up
jail,
and
for
move.
instance. So
What do you mean jail?
So I want to get your thoughts on what their accusation on their claims. What ends up happening is something they call going on tour, where if you have a busted taillight and you drive from your town 4 miles to your job, you go through 4 or 5 cities. You get pulled over in each one, you get a ticket in each one, and then you go on tour through their jails, where one $20 infraction you can't pay for turns into 4 weekends in jail, where they keep trading you to the police stations. So this is what they refer to as remnants of racial covenants, which created multiple jurisdictions, which have a negative impact on people today. We did ask people, why don't you move the area? Well, people who have negative bank accounts, I mean, theoretically could just start walking. But I think for a lot of people that they don't.
Negative bank accounts. Larry Elder. Come on, bro. What's his answer to this?
Know, or it's just not reasonable, I suppose. I'm not saying that is systemic racism. It's what they claim is systemic racism.
Well,
it's how
I of course followed Ferguson greatly, and the Obama White House comes in and they accuse the Ferguson PD of being systemically racist for the reasons that you mentioned. It turns out that Ferguson is 67% black, but 85% of the traffic stops are black people. 18-point gap, ergo systemic racism. Apply that same logic to New York. New York is 25% black, but almost 55% of traffic stops are black people. That's a 30-point gap, even bigger than Ferguson. Yet NYPD officers, street officers, majority of them are people of color. Turns out that Obama did a study called Race and Traffic Stop, came out in 2013 by the National Institutes of Justice, which is a research arm of the DOJ. And you name the traffic offense, a black motorist is more likely to violate it, whether it's speeding, driving with an expired tag, driving without the proper headlight, driving without a seatbelt, driving without a child safety seat in the back when you have a kid. You name the offense, black motorists are more likely to commit the offense. Stop committing crimes. If you're
Oh man. First of all, right? Just because more black people got pulled over and accosted for this shit doesn't mean that more black people committed these crimes. They're more likely to get pulled over. They're more likely to get harassed and stopped by the police, even if they're black police officers. Just because a police force has black police officers in it doesn't mean that there isn't systemic racism within that police force. That police officer is beholden to his superiors, okay? And we know black police officers, they will go hard on black people to prove to their white counterparts that they are one of the good ones. You understand what I'm saying? You can have racist black people that are racist against black people within the police departments, and you do. Okay. Now, this whole thing about this study, it's just like saying that black people are 13% of the population and commit 50% of the crime. That is based on information that comes from local police departments. Okay, so that means that we're supposed to trust these local police departments to accurately report this information to the FBI. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't trust any of these statistics that any of the 1350 statistic. I don't trust that shit because I would have to go into every single police department myself and scrutinize the information and make sure that they're reporting that shit accurately. I don't have time for that. So I'm just not going to believe it. And these are the talking points they like to use to point out, well, you guys deserve to be oppressed because you Negroes, y'all more likely to not have a seatbelt. Y'all more likely to run a red light. Y'all more likely to not have a child in a child seat. When we know that white people commit just the same amount of crime, We know that because there are other studies and statistics outside of the government, independent of government, through universities and other organizations that show that white people commit just the same amount of crimes as black people. They just less likely to get caught. They're less likely to get even looked at by the police. They're less likely to get pulled over. They're less likely to have their vehicle searched when they get pulled over for routine stops and all this other type of shit. So they can miss me with that bullshit. They got me fucked up. Anyway, that's Larry Elder and his bullshit. So I'll read a couple comments before I get out of here. Just ridiculous. Kelvin Black was good. Jimmy Nguyen. Yeah, yeah. Larry Elder is delusional. Marcy T was good. Very hypocritical of them. When I saw MTG post the upside down flag, I started laughing. The same conservative who say that people do upside down USA flag are criminal. Who's MTG? I saw that before, the MTG thing. I don't know who that is. Yeah, I mean, these people are always making shit up. James Millage was good. This how long shows why mofos vote for Newsom over in Cali. Yeah. When you pick an anti-black dude, all they talk about is black problem, blah, 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 instead of laws. Yeah, it's crazy. Larry Elder watched the Atlanta cops arrested a lady for saying overnight in a parking lot because she didn't know the other state has a law. He's gonna listen. Larry Elder is always gonna find a reason. It doesn't matter what a cop does to a black person. Larry Elder is going to find a reason to make it that black person's fault. It just is what it is. These people aren't going to change. I just thought it was funny how he said, "Oh well, you can't show me an organization that has systemic racism," and then he points out 3 of them where the CEOs of these organizations got caught being systemically racist and losing a lot of money and all that type of shit. So that's why they're not going to come out. They're not going to be even subtle about their racism. They're going to do it on a slick tip, right? You know, they're going to do it. They're going to do certain little things to ensure that you are held back and are held down and are suppressed. They're just not going to come out and be blatant with it. They're not going to say, "Oh, it's because you're black." That would be stupid, right? Just because they're not doing that doesn't mean that it's not happening. I don't understand why people think that's the case. Why they think that? Oh, in order for there to be systemic racism, it has to be in a book written down and for everybody to see. No, that's stupid. No, that would be dumb. That would be dumb. Let's see what. Yeah, get out here in a
Tail
minute.
light is busted. Fix it. Don't expect people to give you some slack just because you're black. Fix it.
Fix it.
Take responsibility.
What if you're on the way to the auto shop to get your tail light fixed? Or what if you have to work all week and you're working 12-hour shifts? You ain't got time to take your shit to a mechanic. You understand what I'm saying? You know, the cops don't have to pull you over for a busted tail light. They don't have to pull you over for speeding. They don't have to pull you over for rolling through a stop sign. It's up to their discretion, unless you're doing something dangerous at the time you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Some people ain't got, like me. I have to take my shit into to get oil change, right? Not that I would get pulled over for that, but the point is, I have to wait until I have a free time to do it because I need my vehicle for work. You understand what I'm saying? And it's not that serious right now. Just like a busted tail light. A busted tail light, okay. You know, when you press your brake, okay, they only get to see one light come on. You know what I'm saying? For a little bit. But you can get to it when you get to it. And if you get pulled over by the police, you get motherfucking a fix-it ticket. Then you can show your boss, look, man, I got a fix-it ticket, man. I got to get this shit taken care of. Then you can go. But shit, what the fuck, man? Oh, just get it fixed. Man, you might not even know it's broken. You understand what I'm saying? You might not even know it's broke until the police points it out. Everything is so simple for these people.
So the response we got was that if you have to choose between paying for gas or registering your plate or whatever, people are going to choose probably to pay for the gas to move the car, knowing that they're going to get, they run the risk. The issue is the structure of the jurisdictions turning one infraction into four, which then results in you get a ticket you can't pay. It's $50. You say, well, I couldn't pay for the $20 registration. I can't pay for the $50 fine. So the police come and they say, you're going to spend a weekend in jail then. But the moment you get out of jail, the next department is waiting right outside saying, you're coming to us next. So what they refer to as institutional racism is not that the individual officers are being racist, but that due to the remnants of the past, there are negative consequences for people who live in this jurisdiction today, and they don't.
Now, mind you, Tim Pool is saying that this is what people are telling him in those communities. Now, the way he's explaining it to Larry Elder, it seems to me that Tim Pool understands this. Like, he's like, okay, well, shit, I can see how you guys can see that they're systemically racist. But he's presenting it to Larry Elder pretty much as he should, being objective about it, keeping his subjective opinion out of it, and allowing Larry Elder to give his his full opinion on it without being influenced by what Tim Pool's thoughts are. But I can tell that Tim Pool is actually agreeing with the community, the people in the community. I can see that. I believe that he might actually think that they're on to something, but that I can't prove that.
Don't know what to do to stop it, solve it, or get out.
Again, I would just say it's a real simple solution. Don't commit crimes. In bulk.
This is my first time going this far into the video. Now, I'm sure there are many people out there that think Larry Elder is an intelligent person. But judging by his responses to this shit, I would say that he's a stupid motherfucker. Don't commit crimes. Don't commit crime. Listen, having a busted taillight is not a crime. Okay? It's not. It's not a crime. Uh, People commit crimes every day that they are not aware that. I mean, not hold on. Let's say commit crimes. People are breaking laws that they don't even know exist every day. Every day, an average individual is breaking dozens of laws that they don't know exist, that are on the books that you could be arrested for. I don't. Do you know why he says stupid shit like don't commit crimes? Because he's an idiot.
Baltimore, where Freddie Gray died. Freddie Gray died in police custody. Remember, he was the one in the van. Yeah. There were 6 officers who were prosecuted. 3 of the officers were black. The state attorney who brought the charges was black. City council is all Democrat, majority black. The mayor was black. Number 1, number 2 running the police department, black. The U.S. Attorney General at the time, Loretta Lynch, is black, as was the president. Now, these are black people running the entire system, and still people are talking about it being systemically racist. I'm reminded of that joke that wanted.
Now, all those people are black, right? But do you know how poor Baltimore is and how much these people have to work with to improve the community? It wasn't always all black. You see, these people think, right, that life started in 1989 or some shit, right? When black people started to run Baltimore. People think that things just happen out of osmosis, right? They when they came into this community and started becoming the mayor and the prosecutor and all that shit, they were given a fresh, clean slate that didn't have any issues. Like he's acting like Baltimore wasn't already fucked when these black leaders got there. You understand what I'm saying? And yes, some of those officers might have been black that killed Freddie Gray, but I don't even think that anyone called that a racist thing, right? It was just in general police brutality. I don't remember any time somebody said that what happened to Freddie Gray was due to racism, right? I recall what happened to Freddie Gray being having nothing, just being just a general police brutality, general police terrorism. So why is he bringing that up? Did anybody say that that was racist? No, it was general police brutality, police terrorism, police murder that happens to a lot of different people. It happens to white folks, right? Daniel Schaefer, to name one. Those officers were white. No one claimed that that was a racist murder. No. What? What's he talking? Why is he bringing up? Because he has nothing. He doesn't have an answer to when Tim Pool's talking about. Tim Pool's talking about Ferguson. Now he's talking about Baltimore. You know why? Because he ain't got a motherfucking answer. Because he's full of shit. You understand what I'm saying? And people like me, I see through that shit.
On the site said, how are you going to complain about the man when you are the man? And I'd like to know what the officials are in St. Louis, who they are in all these areas.
Who's the man? Am I the man because there's a black mayor in Baltimore? I'm the man because of the black. No. What? 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 I don't understand the logic there. So because there's some black people in Baltimore that have some level of power, that means that every other black person is in that position. I don't understand what he's talking about. What is he talking about? Now we're all the man because there's some black people in positions of power. We're all the man now.
The suspicion is they're regular people trying to do their jobs, and they're not bigots. I just think this is just.
Well, and you can still say the system's broken. You can still say that people should not be dying in police custody. You can still say that cops need better.
That was the point for the whole Freddie Gray situation. That was the whole point. Why are we talking about Freddie Gray? He's not even he's not part of the racist discussion.
But do them on a case by case basis.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It should be case by case.
I'm done. Case by case. We're talking about Ferguson, and you're bringing up motherfucking Baltimore, Freddie Gray. You see the retardation. You see the contradictions. Oh, only you can conflate different situations in different states. Now, but you turn around and say it's case by case. Then why are you bringing up Freddie Gray? We want to talk about that. We're talking about the conditions of the people in Ferguson. The conditions of the people in Ferguson, which you couldn't come up with an answer for. You couldn't come up. Well, why is this happening in Ferguson? You couldn't come up with that. Well, let's talk about Freddie Gray. Yeah, fuck out of here. I'm done. These people, and it. This is the answer to the left. People like Larry Elder. Oh, well, if you're tired of the people on the left, well, let's go to the right, and that's what you find on the right is Larry Elder. Craziness on the left, craziness on the right, and in the middle you got crazy shit too. That's why hey, that's why anarchy is the way. Anyway, much live. Stephen LaFlower says, yes, this country is in bad shape. Love getting other point views. Helps me grow as a human. No problem, Stephen LaFleur. Anyway, much love, guys. Like, share, subscribe, all that good shit. And let's keep marching forward toward freedom, man. Larry Elder's hilarious.